What's up, guys? So this video is basically in reaction to a comment that someone had left, asking me, have I done more time in a state prison or a private prison? And then to piggyback that, which ones are more dangerous? So to answer your question, I have only been in 2 private prisons. They were both CoreCivic. Okay, CoreCivic is a massive corporation that owns a shit ton of halfway houses and prisons. Pretty disgusting, if you ask me. But anyway, so I've been in 2 CoreCivic private prisons. Never been in a state prison except when I was at a DRDC, which is our reception in Colorado, and Cell House 5, which is part of territorial, and you stay there in between transports or when you're getting out. So I would assume, based on my experience at DRDC and Cell House 5, that state prisons are a little bit safer, cleaner, and they definitely have better food. The guards seem to be actual cops and more dedicated to their job at state prisons as well. The private prisons I was at, the guards, I don't think they were real cops, first of all. I don't think they were actual correctional officers. I think they were just, I don't know if that makes sense. They were just prison faculty, it seemed like. I don't think they actually got any type of formal correctional officers training. And if they did, it had to have been extremely minimal. So right there, that in itself, I feel like is a big reason why a lot of the private prisons are more dangerous, because the guards are less trained and less dedicated to the job. Beyond that, I feel like most private prisons are more flooded with drugs because of the caliber of guards working there. They're a lot more inclined to bring in money, or to bring in drugs for money, compared to the state-ran facilities. It's the end of 2017, going into 2018. I was getting transferred, so I actually hit the yard in about late January of 2018 at Crowley. Within 3 months, I saw 12 guards get walked off that yard in handcuffs. That yard was so fucking flooded with work, bro. You could get a gram of meth for $120 from a black dude, a Mexican, a white dude. It didn't even matter if it wasn't your race. That's how cheap that shit was. Usually grams of meth in prison are like $150, $200, you could get them for like $120. You could get grams of black in there for like $180, $200. Usually a gram of black in prison goes for about $300, $400. Suboxone strips everywhere, caps of weed everywhere, fucking gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons of hooch being pumped out. Food getting stolen from the kitchen, knives getting buried at the greenhouse, knives everywhere. Dude, it's just fucking flooded with contraband in private prisons. I don't know if that is comparable to any state facilities. If anyone in the comments has done a bunch of time in state facilities, or state-owned facilities, please enlighten me. I'm sure that some of them get absolutely washed with drugs as well. But I couldn't tell you. Another thing about private prisons is the tattoos. Tattoo culture in there is basically condoned, essentially, as far as I could tell. Motherfuckers would walk into the chow hall with a fresh face tattoo, blood and plasma leaking out of it. Literally had just gotten done 15 minutes before, and they're walking into chow, not even covering that shit up. You know, people with full sleeves, full socks getting done, their neck, everything freshly blasted, and the guards, everyone can obviously tell it's a brand new tattoo, but no one gave a fuck. I had never seen anything like that. Never. In county, if you got caught tattooing, which I have been caught tattooing myself before, you will get written up, you will get fucked over. It sucks. I've heard plenty of people in other prisons say that tattooing is a big no-no. They don't allow it. It's immediately, you know, punished. Like, whoever's tattooing or getting tattooed immediately get punished, immediately receive consequences. Crowley specifically was not like that, man. It was, they actually nicknamed that prison Crowley Inc. because of how much tattooing takes place in that prison. It's pretty wild that just based on where you get placed, you could end up catching more time because it's stricter. Or you want to go inside, baby? Sorry, my dog's out here with me. I'll let you inside, though, mama. You go inside, baby. It's crazy, like, just based on where you're placed, you could have a rougher time because it's more strict, or you could have an easier time because it's more lenient. Luckily, the places I went were more lenient, so it was just easier to, you know, get through your time without getting a write-up. Speaking of that, easier to get through your time without getting a write-up. Fights were basically allowed at Crowley. You know, obviously serious bodily injury, no. Guards can't have that, right? Don't send fools to the hospital, don't clip people. But in terms of a good old consensual brawl between two grown-ass men, that was 100% allowed, straight up. Within the guidelines and realm of respect, right? You know, off camera, in a cell, 30 seconds to a minute and a half, no bashing people's heads in, no knives, no fucking stomping on people's necks, you know, with your feet. And yeah, you're probably gonna get away with it. Like 95% chance, even if a guard, you know, came in at the last second and heard some thumping, you will probably get away with it in that prison. Is that because it's private and the guards are of a lower caliber guard? I don't know. It appears that way. You could just fucking get down, bro. You could just fight in that bitch. Now, if you took flight on someone in the day room and you're, like I said, beating the dog shit out of them, it's going to be an issue. They're going to bring in the Ninja Turtles. You're going to the hole. But if you fought like a gentleman, off camera, in your cell, one-on-one, you were good, bro. Like, straight the fuck up. One thing I will say, we've been talking about, like, the pros and the cool aspect of being able to get away with shit in there, but I will say this. One thing that did suck, or a couple things sucked, is the programs, man. There wasn't as many programs for people to you know, learn trades or lessen their time or do anything like that. There was not as many classes, and the classes that were there, that were available, it was such a bureaucratic shit show of jumping through hoops to be able to get in those classes. It almost wasn't even fucking worth it, dude. Like the dog program, it was like a 2-year waiting list. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that was like a fucking year waiting list. Your GED classes, which I actually managed to get my GED in Crowley, I was on that waiting list for like 6 months. You know, they didn't have a welding shop, they didn't have a metal shop, they didn't have a fucking wood shop, they didn't have any shops, like they didn't have any trade shit. There was 1 or 2 maintenance positions open, but that position is probably available every 4 or 5 years. and it was only given to people that were doing stretches. You know, they had a super shitty kitchen staff, decent food, but just a shitty fucking kitchen staff, so no one wanted to work there. The greenhouse was by far the best job in that whole place, and that was, once again, 1 to 2 year waiting list, and basically ran by folks who had seniority, as it should be. You know, kept for people doing a shit ton of time, not for kids doing, 2 years, 18 months. But yeah, besides the greenhouse and that one maintenance job, there was not shit in this prison. You know, I hear of state prisons having a dairy farm and a fish hatchery and metal shop and wood shop and fucking, you're driving farm trucks around and you're actually learning things, and firefighter programs and all this really cool shit that's offered by state prisons that private prisons don't allow or don't have or don't give a fuck about, right? So there's pros and cons. You can get away with more shit at a private prison. You'll probably not catch a write-up if you aren't a fucking retard, and you'll go home. But you'll be able to get more programs, access to more trades, learn more, educate yourself more in state prisons. However, you're probably gonna get written up for any tattoos you get, and you might get cracked for fighting, and stuff like that, right? You won't be able to smoke as much weed, whatever. But this is all predicated upon how you want to do your time. If you want to just nose to the grindstone, program, just educate, just do your thing, then those prisons would be the best. If you want to be able to get tattoos, program a little bit, smoke some herb, enjoy yourself more from a, just a real world aspect, I suppose, fucking without getting written up, private prisons, right? That's my opinion. Is basically the only difference is private prisons are just more live, basically. There's more illegal shit taking place, more fights, more stabbings, more tattooing, more drugs. But in state prisons, there's more access to actual beneficial programs, quicker wait lines to get into shit, perhaps even more respect, more safety, more, regard to your rights in state prison, because they're actually trained and they don't want to get sued, they don't want to get fired, they don't want to look bad. Whereas private prisons, they'll just brush shit under the rug. If they can make it to where no news outlets or no parents or no state entity hears about the corruption that's going on in there, they will brush it under the rug. Trust me. The big pissing contest that is the prison community is gonna sit here and be like, oh, fucking, my state prison went fucking harder than any of, Crowley or CMRC, and we fucking set it off at Sterling or, whatever. And here's the thing, man, that may be the case for certain years or certain, times in those prisons, but in the end of the day, you cannot tell me that there's not more drugs, more tattooing, and more fights taking place on a consistent basis in private prisons. You can't, bro. It is what it is. And then I guess just to really hammer this opinion in on this video, private prisons are more dangerous. To clarify that, they are more dangerous, in my opinion, than state-ran prisons. If you're trying to look for safety, I would say a state prison is your best bet, because there is just too much corruption in the fucking private ones, man. But yeah, That's my opinion. That's the video. And I hope you guys have a good day. Much love.